are you comfortable with your quarterback nowadays taking off and running as much as we see a Jalen Hurts running?
No.
Yeah.
I think it's too much.
Yeah.
I think it's too much. I mean, he's really good at it.
Yep.
And for the most part, I think he exercises good judgment.
Yep.
When he does it. But last Sunday, 15 times?
Yeah.
Too much, I think. In today's NFL, too much.
Yes, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis hanging with you on this Wednesday. Very exciting time in Philadelphia sports. We thought, you know what? Who better to talk to than the man himself? We need to catch up and find out what he's been up to. I'm sure it's been partying nonstop, yachts, jet setting with the latest in Hollywood. There he is, the Hall of Famer himself, the one and only Ray Didinger. What's up, Ray?
Hello, fellas. How are you?
Ray, I'm sure it's been a nonstop party, man. Are you all right? Do you need to just have one of us come over there and bring you some soup just to get some rest, calm down a little bit?
It would help if you guys stopped bothering me and calling me up. Fire, for heaven's sakes. Come on. Didn't you guys
Hey, Ray, they made me call you today. I didn't want to do it. They made me call you.
They did. We did. We said, you know what? 5 weeks is enough without getting our Ray fix. So
that's okay. Look, it's it's Dallas week. Okay. I always expect the phone to ring in Dallas week, especially this week with the Eagles 5-0 and the Cowboys 4-1. On a Sunday night primetime audience tuning in. It's going to be fun in South Philadelphia. It's going to be fun talking about it all week.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll get to the Eagles in 1 second and the Cowboys in 1 second, but I got to find out, how's it been, Ray? For a guy who has worked his tail off nonstop, what's it been? 3-4 months? What's it been like for you since you finally stepped away?
Since Memorial Day.
Okay.
I announced my retirement Memorial Day weekend. My wife would tell you nothing's changed.
Right.
She would tell you it's been pretty much the same old. But not really true. I mean, I've been busy. I mean, I had a whole bunch of book signings to do over the summer. We had another revival of Tommy and Me, which came back in August. We brought Tommy and Me, something I had always wanted to do. We brought it to the Hershey Theater. So we actually brought the Tommy and Me story back to where it really began in the 1950s, which is something I always wanted to do.
Love it.
So we did get to do that in August, and a lot of other stuff. My wife and I did take a trip. We took a 2-week trip around the UK,
nice.
Which was great until we both came down with COVID.
Oh.
So we had a terrific first week in the UK, and then the second week we were in quarantine. But we're home now, and we're both feeling fine.
Okay,
great.
Good.
Well, you know what, man? It was an honor, man, to sit next to you for 6 years, man. And I miss it, man. I miss you holding my hand, man, telling me when I was wrong, and also let me know when I was right, man. So I appreciate all the time we had together. I tried to talk you into it. I saw it. He actually came to the job like maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago. And I tried to recruit him again. I tried my best. I tried everything. I tried to bribe him, everything, everything, man. It didn't work. But man, enjoy yourself, man. Enjoy yourself.
I am. And I have enjoyed working with all three of you guys along the way. When I looked, I have had a chance to sort of reflect over this last few months on the time I've spent in this business. It's amazing when you look back over 53 years of doing this, all the great memories you've had, the great times we've had. And you guys have all been a big part of it. Michael B., Glenn Macnell on the weekends. I mean, all the people I've worked with. I mean, I've enjoyed my work tremendously. It's all I ever wanted to do, and I have thoroughly enjoyed doing it. But a big part of that enjoyment is working with people you like and working with people you respect. And all three of you guys are certainly part of that.
Thank you. Kind of you to say, Ray. Appreciate that.
Feelings mutual for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So let me ask, and I will get into the Eagles, I promise, in 1 second. But I'm sure it's nice to be able to have some time to do, you don't have to be at a certain place, and that's got to be great. Was there any sort of tinge, any like week one on a Sunday, like, ooh, this is weird now? Like, you don't have to write about the game or analyze the game on TV. Like, how has that been for you, Ray, on Sundays? Is that a little weird? Do you miss it a little bit, particularly on Sundays?
Well, I still have my yellow tablets right next to me. So that hasn't changed. I will tell you, week one, what was really cool and was actually one of the things I was looking forward to was actually watching a game with my son.
Nice.
I had never, in all of these years, I had never watched an Eagles game with my son. Is that incredible?
That's incredible.
Because he was always kind of doing his thing. And of course, I was always working. So we never had that father-son kind of thing that almost everybody else has on a Sunday, where it's dad and the son sitting watching the Eagles. We never had that. And so finally, opening week of this season, Eagles Detroit, David and I got a chance to actually sit in our den here and actually watch the game together. And that was, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed that. That was really awesome.
I'm surprised he wasn't out shooting a game for NFL Films.
He was not. He is part of the crew that's shooting every Thursday night game now.
Oh, okay.
So he is now part of the Amazon shoot every Thursday, and he's also shooting every Notre Dame game on Saturdays.
Oh, wow.
And so and as much as his schedule permits, he's picking up some NFL games here and there. And so, I mean, I haven't talked to him in a couple of days. He may even be shooting Eagles Cowboys Sunday night because he'll be home. But he's still going to be doing some shooting for NFL Films. But the Thursday night, Saturday night thing is pretty much baked in.
Oh, wow.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So, Ray, I got to ask you, we're used to hearing you every week analyzing this. What are your thoughts through 5 weeks about what the Eagles are doing thus far?
They're good. They're good. I mean, you can say what you want to say about the schedule, and that's part of it. They had certainly had some winnable games here. But to be the last unbeaten team means something. And it's not an accident. I mean, they've won some games impressively. And then Sunday, people would say, I heard people say, oh, it was ugly. It was this, it was that. Well, it was a win, and I've spent enough Sundays on the set with guys like Barrett and guys like Brian Westbrook and Seth Joyner and all those guys. And they will tell you there's no such thing as a cheap win in the NFL.
Right.
You got to go out and you got to earn it every week.
They get paid too.
And exactly. And the Eagles did that on Sunday. And so to be 5-0, sitting where they are right now as the last undefeated team, and looking ahead to what I think is going to be a pretty good test this week against the Cowboys. If it's an exciting place to be for the Eagles. I will say this, having looked at the Cowboys some, this is by far the best defense the Eagles will have seen.
Yes.
And the Eagles have done really good stuff on offense. They've executed really well. I think Sirianni has a really nicely designed passing game that plays to the strengths of Jalen Hurts, and he's growing into that. But make no mistake, this Cowboys defense is really good. And it's the best. It's the biggest challenge this Eagles team will have faced to this point, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they deal with it.
When you look at this Cowboys team, I kind of compare schematically what they do up front with Jacksonville. A lot of movement, twists, stunts, jumping gaps. But I still think, regardless of the schematics of it, is Micah Parsons is the spear that the whole defense. If you can block him, we'll be okay. But I like the way they use him. They don't just rush him from the edge and put him one-on-one against guys, but he rushes against guards, which aren't used to setting like tackles, which makes him a better guy to run those type of stunts with. What do you think? What do you think? They're going to try to do against this Eagles team, especially with the offensive line being as good as it is.
I think I think that they're going to come out and just play the way they play, which is the thing that jumps off the screen at me when I watch them is, man, are they fast?
Yep.
They are fast up front.
Exactly.
That ball is snapped and they're taking off, and they get a lot of people. Derek and I were talking about this yesterday. One of the things you see about them is they just get a lot of people around the football. And Parsons is the best guy they have for sure. but they've got a lot of other good players around him. And the coaches have put them in a system that I think really accentuates all of their abilities. I mean, Lawrence is a good player, real good player. He hasn't gotten a whole lot of national recognition because sort of Parsons overshadows everybody. But they have playmakers up front. That front seven is really good. And we all know the Eagles' offensive line is really good. It's probably the best area on their team. But they've got some guys nicked up right now. So the health of that offensive line, to me, is going to be critical on Sunday night, because if you can't block that Cowboys front, you're going to have a real hard time beating them.
You have to run the ball.
Yeah. Oh, I think so, too. I think that I was having said what I said about Nick Sirianni earlier about I thought the offense has been very well designed. For the most part, I think that's true. I thought if I could offer one bit of criticism was I thought that Sunday in Arizona, I thought they got away from the run in the first half way too much.
Yep.
This team can run the ball, and you've got good backs. And the running game, I think this offense has to – I'm not necessarily saying you have to run the ball as much as they ran it the second half of last year when they were by far the number one running team in football. I'm not saying you have to be that again, but I think this offense has to work off of the running game. In other words, I think the passing game has to work off of the running game. And I think one of the ways they kind of got in a little bit of trouble in Arizona was I think they got a little bit too far away from that. To beat a team like the Cowboys, I think a balanced approach is the way to go. You got to run the ball to slow down that offense a little bit and open up the opportunities in the passing game.
Ray, when I look at this Dallas offense, there's nothing that really jumps out at you to say, wow, about their offense. I mean, they have star names, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, but they haven't been playing like star players. And obviously, when you don't have your multi-million-dollar quarterback, that's a big difference in a lot of ways. But for whatever reason, that offense seems to function better with Cooper Rush under center. And you've seen a lot of football, and can you pinpoint why Dallas seems to be more efficient? They're not a high-powered offense, but they're more efficient with Cooper Rush under there. It just amazes me. This guy's 5-0 over 2 seasons now.
Yeah. I think sometimes you see this when a team goes to its backup quarterback. Is the coaching staff, they get together and they say, okay, we don't have, in this case, Dak Prescott. We're dealing with Cooper Rush. Let's just take our playbook and scale it down, and let's just go with what he does well. We're not going to try to play the whole playbook. We're not going to try and do a whole lot of different things. We're not going to try and really expand an attack. We're going to just try, let's identify his strengths, what plays he runs well, what routes he's comfortable with, and let's just kind of build our attack around that, which by nature kind of leads you to a more conservative style of offense. You're not going to trust that quarterback the same way you would your number one quarterback. So you play a little more conservatively. Sometimes you play actually a little bit smarter, and you don't take as many chances, and sometimes you don't make as many mistakes. And you see this so many times when teams go with their backup quarterback is, they'll say, okay, we got to modify stuff. We got to cut back. And you know what? Sometimes that's not a bad way to go. Sometimes the more that you try to do, sometimes the more that you try to experiment and you get adventurous and let's try this and let's try that. Sometimes you wind up getting yourself in trouble. Sometimes the smart thing to do is let's just say what we do well, what do we do best, and let's just build our game plan on that foundation. And that's when you're looking at the Cowboys now, that's kind of what they are. Is this kid as talented and as much of a playmaker as Dak Prescott? No. But if you put him in situations where you don't have him facing a whole lot of 3rd and 11s, if he can play 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2 most of the game, he can be pretty efficient that way. And you're seeing it right now. I mean, they lost game 1 with Dak. They put this guy in and have won 4 in a row. Now, as you and I were talking yesterday, I don't know. And the people in Dallas are being very circumspect about who the quarterback is going to be Sunday. They're not saying who it's going to be. Jerry keeps talking about Dak. Are they really thinking of bringing him back, or is that just a smokescreen? I don't know. I really don't know. But I think if you're the Eagles, you got to prepare for both of them. And I'm sure that's what they're doing now.
Yeah. McCarthy pretty much hinted today, Ray, that it's going to be Rush. I don't know if that's 100%, but that's kind of where he sort of hinted today.
Yeah.
Which, but who knows? You know what I mean? With the mind games.
Derek and I were talking about this last night. Dallas is a whole different situation than any other team. Mike McCarthy, if it comes down to it, and Saturday night at the hotel, Jerry walks into Mike McCarthy and says, "Mike, we're playing Dak tomorrow night. Dak's gonna play tomorrow night, okay? Because it's a wacky ship down there, and it's part of the reason why they haven't won. Decisions like this, if the owner wants to make the call, he'll make the call. Now, I don't know. To me, it makes more sense to go with Rush because I can't imagine that Dak's thumb is completely healed at this point. Right. So why take the chance? And the fact is, you are winning with this guy. But this is part of what makes the Cowboys the Cowboys. You never know that Saturday night in the hotel, Jerry's liable to just get this whim that I want to go with Dak tomorrow night, national TV. And if Jerry wants Dak, we'll get Dak.
Yeah. And well, pre-retirement Ray didn't do impersonations. And this is why we like retirement Ray. We get a little Jerry right there. That was nice, Ray. Quality work. I gotta go.
I've interviewed when I was at NFL Films. I interviewed Jerry enough, that I got Jerry down. And you know what? He's. I actually found him to be a good guy. In my dealings with him when I was at NFL Films, I enjoyed talking to him. In fact, I did a lengthy interview with him. It was like over an hour, just me and him. Actually talking about his football career, talking about his days at Arkansas, and being a teammate of Jimmy Johnson and how their whole relationship began, and what different personalities they were and all that kind of stuff, and how they became good friends on that great Arkansas team in the 60s. Fascinating stuff. So look, I know Philadelphia will always feel about Jerry the way they feel about him. I'm not going to try and convince anybody that he should be Mr. Popularity here. But I will tell you, in my dealings with him, I found him to be a pretty fascinating guy.
Knows how to make money. We know that. That's
he does that.
Let me ask you about the other side of the ball, Ray. Parsons. I mean, you have a reservoir to draw from that not a lot of us do. You'll go as far back as you go with this game. I know it's only been a year plus here, but he's got 6 sacks already. He was unreal last year. He looks like an unstoppable force. At least this early, who does he remind you of? How unbelievable is this guy?
You're talking about Micah, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's funny. Derek and I were talking about this just last night. He asked me the same question. Who does he remind you of? A lot of people come right out and say LT. I'm not prepared to go there. Okay. To me, LT is like, he's like an all-timer. He might be one of the 4 greatest defensive players I've ever seen, regardless of position. And there are some people that may argue he's number 1. I don't know. I mean, to me, Joe Green's in that discussion. Reggie's in that discussion. There's some great ones. But LT's certainly in that conversation. So as good as this kid is, I'm not putting him there yet. But in terms of his ability to play both stand up and hand on the ground, his ability to be both a move linebacker and also a legit, if you have to put him defensive end. The best comparison I can make, and even this is a little bit of a stretch, but he has some traits that are very much like Derek Thomas. I see when I watch him play, there are plays that he makes that I say, man, that's Derek Thomas stuff right there. I mean, he's got that tremendous combination of great takeoff, strong, and able to bend, and just a great sense of being able to close on the quarterback. And that was one of the things that Thomas had, one of the things that made him a great player. And this kid's got it. This kid's got it. If he keeps working at it, and he continues to have that play with that same kind of hunger that right now, if he can keep that kind of edge going, there's no question he's got the chance to be a dominant player in this league. And their defense is good, but it really all starts with him. And all this week in the Eagles team meetings, I guarantee you the offense, all they're talking about is how do we deal with this guy? How do we deal with this guy? Because, if we can't block him, if we can't control him, we can't win. Because this guy he's a game wrecker, is what he is. And the Eagles can't let that happen Sunday night.
He kind of reminds me of Ken Harvey, a mixture of Ken Harvey.
Yeah,
Ken Harvey from Washington. People don't really know. I don't understand why they don't know about, because he's probably top 3, top 4 of the best guys blocking the edge that I had to play against. Reggie being number 1, Haley being number 2. Number 3 is in between Dolman and Bruce. But then, locked in is Ken Harvey. Man, he is a phenomenal player. People need to look him up. He was good. He could be a stand-up sandbacker, and he could also be the rush end on passing plays.
Really good player, and that's really not a bad comparison. And I think that he is of players of that era, very underrated. When people talk about that era of defensive players in the NFL, he doesn't get nearly enough credit. There were some guys in there. You can make a case for Ken Harvey for the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
You really, really could. Now, I don't think he's ever going to get there, because I don't think he's ever even been a finalist. That's part of what happens when you play in Arizona. You're kind of off the radar a little bit. Aeneas Williams got past that, and Aeneas Williams got in the Hall of Fame. But it's hard for guys out there to get that kind of attention. And I think Ken Harvey it's a very good comparison. Ken Harvey was a really good player. Not that many people remember him, but having been in the league at that time and having had to play against him, how good he was.
Hey, I had the quote I'll give you guys real quick from McCarthy today on Prescott. He says, "I know Dak didn't want to hear it. In other words, that he's not going to play this week. You got to make sure that he's right for the long haul too.
That's right.
Not that I'm saying we're being conservative, because that doesn't really line up with him, the way he approaches playing every day. So, smart move by the Cowboys. Hey, even if there's any doubt, Dak, we're taking care of you. We're worried about you long haul, man. It's the smart approach by the Cowboys for sure. But Ray, you're right. Jerry's a wild card. You never quite know.
Jerry is. He totally is. I think it would be crazy to rush Dak back in this game, but with the Cowboys, you never rule it out. Right. But the thing is, they have already shown that they can win with rush.
Right.
So why not? This isn't like you're playing Ben DiMucci again, okay? This isn't like you're turning it over to a backup that gives you no chance to win. The fact of the matter is, you have won with this guy. But I would expect to see a very conservative kind of game here by the Cowboys. Just don't ask the kid to make a whole lot of tough throws. Don't ask him to try and win the game by himself. And that's, Jonathan Gannon has to prepare his game plan accordingly. I think if they're going to be conservative on offense, which I think they probably will be by necessity, and it's kind of been what they have shown the last 4 weeks, then I think Jonathan Gannon has, I think it gives him license for him to be more aggressive in attacking that scheme. And I think they can have success that way.
Ray, let me get your perspective on a topic that we've discussed on this show a number of times in recent weeks. With the evolution of the game that we watched today, the more athletic running quarterback is here to stay in the football that we watched today. I look at Jalen Hurts. He had to run 17 times against Detroit. He ran 15 more times against Arizona, most of those out of necessity. We've seen quarterbacks who relied a lot on the run in the past. The RG3s cost him a career. Lamar Jackson cost him a significant portion of the season last year. Are you comfortable with your possible franchise quarterback running that much? And again, we understand that a lot of it's out of necessity. But are you comfortable with your quarterback nowadays taking off and running as much as we see a Jalen Hurts running?
No.
Yeah.
No. I think it's too much.
Yeah.
I think it's too much. He's really good at it.
Yep.
And for the most part, I think he exercises good judgment.
Yep.
When he does it. But last Sunday, 15 times?
Yeah.
Too much, I think. In today's NFL, too much. I know Nick Sirianni, when he was asked about it this week, he tried to minimize. Some of them are quarterback sneaks, so that's a different kind of. You're parsing it when you say that. Yeah. Anytime your quarterback is running the ball 10 plus times, even if he's good at it, I think it's too much. The fact of the matter is, I understand that is part of his game, and by necessity, it's part of your offense, and it's a good part. The fact that on 3rd and 2, he can tuck it and run it and pretty much get you the first down anytime you want. that's a great thing to have in your back pocket. And it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. But one of the things you're seeing with him, at least I am, is his development as a passer and his development to make plays from the pocket. I mean, he's way far ahead of where he was last year. And in terms of his accuracy and just in terms of his ability to see the field and make good decisions with the football, I mean, he's getting better every week. So, you know, I would continue to develop that part of the game and let him look. He's in the course of a game, given the pressure, given the things he's going to see and feel, he's going to take off and run some. That's just part of his game, and it should remain part of his game. But anytime I see at the end of a game that he's got 15 carries, to me, you're pushing the envelope there. I would try and keep it, you know, somewhere around 10 or below.
Ray, I got to hit you with Jonathan Gannon because he takes a lot of heat in the city because of his lack of aggression. Certainly, you know, when you hold a team to 17 points like you did last week, I think most defensive coaches would say we're more than thrilled with that in the NFL. But, you know, it wasn't the best game for the defense either. I would put more of it on the offense. But regardless, what are your thoughts after 5 weeks of Gannon?
Well, he has shown us that he will be more aggressive. I mean, we've seen some very aggressive game plans so far, and it's produced good results. I mean, one of the things coming into this year that they dramatically had to improve was their ability to create big plays on defense. I mean, everybody talked last year, they look at their stats. I mean, they're a top 10 defense, and yes, but not really. I mean, if you look at the areas that, to me, you know, win games in the NFL now, it's pressure on the quarterback. It's taking the ball away. It's being really good on third down, being really good in the red zone. Yards, to me, is not really the ultimate measuring stick of how good a defense is. People would say that it is, but in today's NFL, you win by making big plays. You win by sacking the quarterback. You win by taking the ball away.
Right.
And the Eagles were not good in those areas last year. In fact, if you look at in terms of the metrics of those particular areas, it's remarkable that a team that was as far down in those areas as the Eagles were actually was a playoff team last year. So for them to come back and be a playoff team this year and actually improve and maybe have a chance to go deeper into the playoffs, they had to improve defensively. And it began with being aggressive. We've seen some of it. I think that he will continue to be more aggressive because I think he understands that he has better personnel. You know, I mean, he's got two really good cornerbacks that he can be aggressive with. He's got much better play at the safety position. He's got more speed at linebacker for sure. I mean, last year, tight ends just killed this team. Right? I mean, tight ends scored 13 touchdowns against this team last year, most of any defense in the league. That tells you that your linebacker play and your safety play was not good. Well, they've improved in those areas. And so I think having better personnel, look, Gannon understands the principles of winning defense. He knows. I think last year he was trying to play within the limitations of the personnel that he had. This year with better personnel, I think you've seen him turn it loose, and you know their stat numbers, their sack numbers, their takeaways would certainly reflect that.
Ray, you're the best. We know you got another commitment you got to run to, but thanks for giving us a couple minutes, man.
Thanks, man.
I promise I won't call you again for at least a month.
Yeah, Gunner won't pester you for a little while. We can't promise the rest of the year.
They can't make me do it, Ray. They can't make me do it again.
Exactly.
That's okay. Hey, listen, you guys are the best. I'm happy to talk to you guys anytime. This was fun. So
Great.
Thank you, Ray.
You're the best. Thank you.
I will see you all and talk to you soon.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
take care.
All right.
The great Ray Didinger. That was a blast, man. He is so much fun. He is just so much fun to talk to.
We're right next to him for 6 years. 6 years.
Yeah, Barrett. I mean, to work with Ray is truly an honor. I mean, I can't even. It's unbelievable.
No question.
It's a highlight, I think, of all of our careers. But
yeah, he comes to the meeting room. Good morning, Barrett. Good morning, Ray. Just a plain old guy.
And by the way, he hasn't lost a step. He was on every single angle of the Eagles, of the Cowboys, of the league. He may be retired, but he's absolutely still following everything that's going on.
Yep.
The funny thing is, before I came to this market in 1997, like everybody else, I used to love watching all the old NFL films projects they would assemble on the greatest players, the greatest teams. And as you would see the credits, it was like written by contributions by Ray Didinger. Never registered with me with Ray Didinger. And then when I got here and found out that Ray Didinger not only worked for NFL Films, but lived right here in Philadelphia and was a part of Comcast Sports and NBC Sports, it was like I was like a kid in a candy store, because I used to get weekly to sit there and just talk football with Ray, all the time. And it's like, wow, it's nice to meet, because you see all these great films and, you never get to meet the people who are behind the scenes, but to sit there and be able to engage him and get to know him and call him a friend, man, that's one of the highlights of my tenure in this market.
We're blessed. I was a little kid and I read him in the Daily News, and then he moved over to NFL Films. And when I was in, like high school and college, and I would watch all the stuff that you guys watched on NFL Films. And I'm thinking, I kind of want to do this for a living. Maybe one day I'll get to meet him and just pick his brain. And then not only to be able to do that, but work with him. I mean, we used to do a show every Saturday during football from Delaware Park, which was a lot of fun and whatever. But we had a great time doing it. But it was like I would sit there and pinch myself, as I'm sitting next to this guy. It was that unbelievable. He's that kind of human being.
Yeah. Bro, I used to sit back and just. Can you imagine sitting down watching film, watching the game with him? Like we do the morning, we do the pregame show, and then we sit down and watch the game with him every single day. And he's throwing stuff at me, and I'm throwing stuff back at him, and then you got Seth there. We're just going back and forth with all these great concepts and what we've seen, and he's adding his his footprint on it. From everything he's seen in his career. It's an unbelievable experience, man, being able to work with that man for 6 years.
No question about it. All right, we'll come back. We'll dig a little bit deeper into the Cowboys, a little more on the quarterback situation with them, look at some areas of concern for the Eagles, things you like, things you don't like. We'll do all of that when we get back 2 o'clock. Greg Murphy's going to be joining us from Atlanta, 1:30. We'll be talking NFL. There's a lot of things to dive into around the league as well. You don't want to go anywhere. He's Derek. He's Barrett. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network on this Wednesday. All right, let's talk about Pro Action Restoration. Pro Action Restoration is the place that you get in contact with if your home or your business or a property that you own has gone through the inconvenience of water, fire, smoke damage, whatever the case may be. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist you. I've gone through it. I called them on a Saturday, and they got right over there, cleaned up the mess. Crew was professional, clean, price was reasonable. The other thing is they're licensed, bonded, fully insured, and they've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company as well. So it could be fire, could be water, could be smoke damage, mold remediation, which is a lot of people are dealing with that issue, and you're not really sure who to get in contact with. They are the people. Pro Action are the people to get in contact with. 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760. That's how you reached out to them via phone or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.